I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
First item on our agenda is public comment on agenda items. Hearing none, we'll move on to the consensus items.
So I do want you to know the yellow highlighted things on the agenda in front of you were added after we had sent the packet out. Again, this time of year, there's always additions and changes and shifts happening. So there was one update, I think, to football under assignments. And then we had 2 new hires added, number 7 and 8. 2 additional resignations and 1 additional LEA business. The things that I wanted to make sure that I addressed, that we have 3 retirements. Ann Burkholder is retiring with 31 years in the classroom here at North Adams Community Schools. She has taught a plethora of different grade levels, job shared, different things. She just finished teaching summer school and did a wonderful job for us there, so we wish Ann all the best. I think that's all I have on this one.
Any questions, comments, or concerns on the consensus items as presented? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll do a motion, please.
I'll do a second. We have a motion on the table by Wiley, seconded by Darlene. All those in favor announce by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposition, same sign. And with that stands 6-0. Program update.
Not in that.
There is none. Old business.
So we had several handbooks for consideration, 5 of them in fact. Starting out with the student handbooks, I'll kind of group the student handbooks unless someone brings up a reason that we need to consider them individually. Again, elementary handbook, really not a whole lot of changes there. All of them saw an addition to address artificial intelligence eyewear, which hasn't really hit North Adams yet, but it's hit other schools in the Indy area, so we're just going ahead and putting that language in there. A little bit of revision of consequences for attendance issues, and then the format of the book got changed so that all the schools kind of had a similar format. In the middle school, not a lot of big changes, again, AI, eyewear, and format. And then at the high school, the AI eyewear again. A little bit of a blurb about Bellmont Next Academy. We're still developing that handbook. That'll be in August. The change of the new graduation requirements, and there's at least 2, if not 3 different cohorts now going through with different graduation requirements, so they added the newest ones. Added some language about provocation, some additional language about driving and parking privileges. Also addressed the legislation change for 7 to 12 mandatory attendance conferences within 10 days of 5 unexcused absences. And then a blurb about participating in more than one sport at a time, and the need to identify a primary sport so that there's less confusion on what sport takes precedence should there be conflict. So are there any questions on the elementary, middle school, or high school handbook?
I guess just for clarification again, because I know there's been discussion in the past about students not being able to participate in more than one, a preference, those types of things with the sports. It doesn't prohibit them from participating in more than one, it just, they need to identify what's their primary and.
Yes, when they identify the primary, then that is the one, if there's a conflict, that should take precedent unless the primary coach and the athlete come to a mutual agreement that that the secondary sport would be what they would attend, participate in, practice with, whatever.
And then the next academy update will just come out as a separate line item next time?
Yes, we have a whole separate handbook.
Okay, perfect. Any additional questions? Do we need to approve them one at a time, or can we let them come together since in the
No.
second reading? Okay, all right. If there are no additional questions or conversation regarding this topic of the handbook, second read, I will entertain a motion to accept all as presented.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
Dang, Wiley.
Oh.
All right, I have a motion on the table in multiple seconds. Wiley, second. All those in favor announce by saying aye.
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 Any opposition, same sign. With that, stand with a 6-0 vote.
Okay, then we had the classified handbook. On this one, we just had a few changes, one of them to sick bank, and I did copy and paste. And you see that in your notes in the red writing, the changes that Scott suggested on that language weren't really big, but again, the gist of this is that for classified sick bank, it would move toward a borrowing format as opposed to the days are given, and then no expectation of doing anything to make up for those days given. Again, if something would happen where the employee is no longer, because of a disabling condition, able to work, there were a couple other situations, there would not be an expectation of paying it back with days or a cash equivalency of whatever the balance of days they still owed upon separation from the district. The other thing, we changed bereavement leave for grandparent relationships from 6 to 3 days. And then we did include a delineation of staff who serve in 2 different job roles. Actually, that was something that I did not remove from last time, so that's not new, that was in there last year. So really only those 2 things, bereavement leave reduced to 3 days for grandparent relationships, and then the sick bank change.
And then, regard to, gracious here, as I'm going through and looking at it, do you need us to, we've got the permission to fill the positions prior, and then we've got the approval?
We still need a vote on the classified handbook, and then we have the transportation handbook still, sorry.
Okay, no, that's not a problem. So we're doing the classified handbook first. Okay, do I have a motion on the table, or any additional discussion first?
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
Everybody jump at once. We have a motion on the table, seconded. All those in favor announce by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposition, same sign. Let us stand with a 6-0 vote. Now on to the next.
Transportation. Yep. Not many changes at all on that one. I did just add the information, the same information and verbiage that was in the classified handbook from last year about the duly employed employees, because that's typically been bus drivers who serve in another position. Other than that, there really weren't any changes for transportation handbook.
Any additional questions, comments, concerns with regard to the transportation handbook? Not, I'll entertain a motion to accept the line item as presented.
I'll make that motion.
Thank you. I have a motion on the table by Dave. Do I have a second?
No, I already did it once.
Everybody jump
I
one.
already
I'll
did it.
second.
We go from all to none. I have a motion on the table by Dave, seconded by Darlene. All those in favor announce by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposition, same sign. With that, stand 6-0. Now on to new business.
There you go. Great. So first thing we have is our annual July request for approval for permission to fill open positions prior to the August board meeting. We still have just a few positions open. Again, this is something we do annually just so that we are fully staffed when kids enter, because our first board meeting will be after school has
After June.
started, basically. So I know, I don't know what happened to June. I think it just wasn't here somehow. But just for those listening at home, we are still looking for an elementary teacher and potentially a special education teacher at the elementary. I think we're fully staffed in the middle school, and math in the high school. So we're getting really close, and I know we have some folks who have expressed interest in all of those, so we have our fingers crossed that'll be that will be fully staffed here in just another week or so. But for right now, that's where we stand.
Do we have any additional questions, comments, concerns with regard to the permission to fill the open positions prior to the beginning of the school year?
I'll make a motion to approve the motion.
I'll second.
I have a motion on the table by Wiley, seconded by Jill to approve the permission to fill the positions prior to the 25-26 school year. Say that fast. All those in favor announce by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposition, same sign. And with that, stand with a 6-0 vote. Approval of classified pay rates, staff pay rates.
So this year, in trying to work on budget and figure out what we can do, what we can't do, where we need to look at reductions, just like all other districts are doing. It was a little more difficult to try to get this at a finalized point. We did work with Chad Blacklock, Beth and I did, in the last couple months, and I think we have something that is doable for us right now. Unfortunately, I wish we could do more, but there's something. And that's because we've been frugal, and we have done a lot to try to, again, move a lot of our cap project monies and operations to bonding. We are throttling down our ed to ops transfer pretty much to a minimum, and we'll just monitor that and make sure we'll be okay. We've moved some staff who are paid from education to get paid from operations, because operations for us, which is a little opposite, some area schools are going to be a much stronger, healthier fund. So again, basically, I sent you what that was going to be. Raises, these are mostly hourly employees. For the most part, they're around a quarter an hour to up to $1, because I still had one area that I wanted to get a little more competitive, that I've been kind of focusing on a group every year. And then I provided you, I think, kind of what my just penciling out savings and increases were going to look like. There was one mistake that food service did kind of have a change, in that they did want their production staff, the cooks and courier and the cafe custodian, to be the 18-15. That was a late today request. Food service, just for folks who know, they kind of have to provide their own funding. It's a for-profit. So we put that on there just because it makes it cleaner for audit purposes, but they really do their own thing. But they've been really trying to kind of match up what's happening in the other parts of the district. So she did ask, because they've taken a lot of cuts from the federal government in particular, with what's happening with USDA and things like that. So she decided that she wanted to do that and just try to keep those positions equal. Other than that, I'm hoping that this won't be the year that I have to have 3 color codes on about when different items were approved. I think we've got everything, I hope, set. The minute I say that, I don't know why I even said it. It won't work that way, but.
Thankfully, there's no colors.
True.
Do we have additional questions, comments, or concerns on the classified staff pay rates as presented? Hearing none, do I have a motion on the table to approve?
Motion to approve.
I'll second.
Motion on the table, seconded by Jill, to approve the classified staff pay rates as presented. All those in favor announce by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposition, same sign. And with that, stand with a 6-0 vote. The approval of the 25-26 food service prices.
So, again, food service is taking some hits too across the country and in Indiana. I think she is still planning on being able to provide free breakfast and lunch for middle school and elementary kids, so that's great. And we are appreciative to our federal and state legislators for still allowing that. Bellmont High School, I don't think we have any huge increases. Paid breakfast will be $2.25 for students, and lunch will be $3, and adult breakfast $2.85, and lunch $5 for adults. It is. Still cheaper than, I always say, what I could feed my child for at home, probably, by far.
Absolutely. Do we have any additional questions, comments, or concerns on the 25-26 food service prices as listed? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to approve the information as presented.
Make the motion.
I'll second it.
We have a motion on the table by Darlene, seconded by Wiley. All those in favor announce by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposition, same sign. We'll let that stand with a 6-0 vote. On to line item number 4, the permission to sell the 2003 Dodge van.
So just like when you end up doing a renovation at home, you end up having to go through a purge process lots of times. And so when we were getting ready to put the new fencing up out at the bus barn, you see it kind of going up around it. There was a lot of cleanup that had to do in moving things. And there's been a 2003 Dodge van that has not been running, parked back there for a while.
Did you find it behind a box or something?
Oh, I have a feeling we knew it was there. Maybe, I don't know. Anyway, basically just to get it out of here because it's really not, it's not fixable, it's not able to be used. We're just asking for permission to sell it for salvage.
And just out of curiosity, when something like that is done for salvage, where does the fund go? Like a general purpose? Does it go back into transportation? Does it go back in,
It goes into cash balance, probably in operations.
okay.
You say, Lori? Yeah.
Okay.
It doesn't ever go right back to the fund that you think it would come to, it just has to go to your general,
Okay.
because it can't impact your allocation, or your appropriation, excuse me.
So it just goes to the bank.
It goes to the bench, which is nice to have
Yeah.
some of that, but, yeah.
Okay, all right. Do we have any questions, comments, or concerns on the permission to sell the 2003 Dodge van?
Shelley didn't read the VIN number.
Oh, I'm sorry, I can read that really fast if you like. Starts with a 2. There we go. Oh wait, as presented, how's that? Any additional questions, comments, or concerns? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I have a motion on the table by Jill, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay. Motion on the table by Jill, seconded by Darlene. All those in favor announce by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposition, same sign. We'll let that stand with a 6-0 vote. Approval of the 25-26 public official position bond renewals.
So we did, these always have to happen usually in 2 separate votes. So we did, the folks who handle a lot of money last month, which are like Lori and Beth and Bev Lichtensteiger. These are the folks that handle money, just maybe not as much. So we have 11 people who will be bonded at $5,000 each, who are lunch cashiers, our BMS secretary, our high school athletic secretary, our elementary secretary, and our district administrative assistant. And again, this just is basically if there was anything fraudulent that would happen, it would help protect the school, but also those employees potentially, depending upon what actions have happened. If there was any attempts at fraud, I guess.
And that's a pretty standard amount for the bonding. Okay.
That's pretty small, Darlene knows.
Your line item number 9, Bellmont, is spelled wrong. You're missing that L on Bellmont Middle School Secretary. At least in my notes it is.
Number 9.
On
On the notes?
On the notes. You know, you gave number 1, it's not in here, it's in the board notes.
So if that's the part that's presented for legal documentation.
Right, I
just
didn't know if
make
you
sure-
wanted
Oh,
it
I see.
Bellmont
It's
spelled
not-
right or
yeah.
wrong, so.
Yeah.
Oh, was it in the actual?
Yes, yeah, line item number 9, under Bellmont Middle School Secretary.
He's saying on your board knows that
Yeah.
person in the packet.
Here, pass that over to her.
It falls
Number
apart
9.
all the time.
We're missing that.
Oh, it's on the
Belmont.
actual,
Oh,
that's on the actual bond sheet.
okay.
Thanks for pointing that out.
Yep,
Because that always drives me crazy when people send stuff in, misspelled.
so,
Thank you.
you're welcome.
That a lot.
You probably hate reading my emails
Emails.
I don't prevent it.
Just speak word to text, just speak to text.
That's pretty typical. It's more about when I have a potential hire or something, and then you pay attention. Okay, that's it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Sorry.
Y'all understand?
No, that's
All right.
No, that's
My
important to
Yeah,
know.
'cause that's,
Thanks.
yeah. Do we have any additional questions, comments, or concerns on the 25-26 public official position bond renewals as presented with the correction? If not, I'll entertain a motion to accept as presented.
Motion to accept with the correction.
I have a motion on the table. Do I have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Dave. All those in favor announce by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposition, same sign. Hearing none, we'll let that stand with a 6-0 vote. On to line item number G, listen to me, I need to go back to school. Grammatically correct letter G, board members and/or public comment. Yes.
I guess this that I just handed out this evening, it's just some rather brief notes. I attended this virtual chat session on A to F that was held by the Indiana School Board Association. Kind of this is not finalized for the accountability process. It really has been on hold since COVID. They're now working on developing a new program strategy that actually all students will contribute at least a few points, where in the past was kind of either you pass or you fail as a student, and this even gives points for students attending school. It's not finalized at all, but that's the direction they're going, and it models the value of pathways, enrollment, employment, and enlistment services, which it mirrors the new graduation requirements. And they really don't start it until grade 3. So K1, 2 is, that's definitely important, but it's not gonna impact the accountability process. It's giving students a chance to learn before they begin to, have certain requirements. And then they've grouped it here, grades 4 to 8. They skip grade 9 because of the transition, and typically, historically, and this has been for years, transition from 8th grade to 9th grade into high school. There's lots going on with those young people, and so it is kind of accounting for that, and the next level then would be grade 10, and then final grade 12. So it's not anything totally finalized, but their deadline is going to be this December 31st to have it in place. That's by statute, that's by law.
And they're moving toward a letter grade because they have come back to thinking that's what the community understands.
Yeah, and it sounds like kind of the letter grade of 90 to 100, A, 80, this, kind of the typical spread of 70, 80, B, 80 to 90 B, and then C, 70 to 80.
If their deadline's the 31st, did they say when they may be doing a final approval of
Yeah, there's going to actually, you can go on the website now, Department of Ed's website, and make comments. That is open, and people can make comments.
So they're gonna utilize that information to assist with their
And it
decision.
really it's the same process they just used for the high school graduation process, which I think they really did listen to people when they were creating the new high school requirements. Not everything maybe turned out the way some would like, but there were a lot of changes made in that process due to people's input.
For sure. I also have a few things. So our construction for this summer is still going. We have, I think our asphalting is pretty much done in all of our smaller lots and still working on some concrete. We still got some fencing going on. In the buildings, I think they're pretty much done at the high school with what they're doing. In the auxiliary gym area, B Hall, might be finishing up a few things in the engineering lab. That one was gonna be a little bit more cumbersome than we originally thought because of where a clean out was placed. We had to do some looking. Raz Hall is still, it's starting to get moving back toward the right direction, and we're still on track to be done right when school's starting, so fingers crossed still, they're doing a good job for the short time they have. Wrapped up Summer Best at the end of June, had great participation from students, or Summer Learning Camp, excuse me, and Summer Best is still going with our daycare. Summer Learning Camp is basically summer school. Again, had really good participation every day, and I can't really say because our iRead scores are still embargoed, but I will say I am perfectly happy with them. And right now, we are well on our way also to be in a really good place with our second graders who have taken the test, so we are really excited about that. Still gathering and still receiving Bellmont Next Interest for anyone interested in an alternative homeschool pathway or an online option through North Adams Schools for grades 6 through 12. Right now, I sent you information, I can't even remember my own information. I think we're at around 16 kids have shown interest. So that's good, again, for kind of keeping it what I was hoping. Some of those kids are current students, so they may or may not opt to do the virtual, but we're still gonna be in that 10 to 15 range, which is where I was hoping we would get. I can't believe we're already here talking about start of school for 25-26, but we are. Registration should be opening up early next week. We did get Power School rolled over, and Power School has to open that registration link, so we are waiting on Power School, but look for it early next week to open up. July 28th is Backpack Bash over at the elementary middle school from 5 to 7. August 5th is the elementary back to school night, and it is going to be, if your student's last name is A to M, it will be from 5 to 6, and if it's N to Z, it's 6 to 7. And if you have kids who have different last names, that's fine, just pick one and come. We're not gonna be legalistic about this. August 6th is gonna be the high school open house. Again, that's just where you come and you can tour kind of at your leisure, practice lockers, walk your schedule. That's gonna be from 2:30 to 6, anytime you wanna come and go. And middle school's back to school night will be 5 to 7, August 6th. And then August 7th is our first student day. Supply list will be coming out soon. Justin, do you have a date for supply list to be posted?
They're coming in slow. Preschool is up, elementary school is up, middle school, we're waiting on one more grade, and then that'll be up.
Okay, so basically elementary, you're able to get yours right now. Middle school, you'll be very quick to have yours. And then high school, usually we recommend just get basic supplies, and your teachers will tell you that first week what you may or may not need extra. They usually don't require a lot at the high school level. That's all I have right now, I think, for
Any other board member and/or public comment?
Does anyone think about going this September to the superintendent and school board conference in Indianapolis?
You said that's September?
Looking at September 15th and 16th. I was looking at going to it,
Potentially.
so it's a Monday, Tuesday.
And you don't have to go to both days if you would. I think the first day is usually a full day and the second day is a half day.
It's a
Is
half
that
day,
right?
so yeah, you could just drive down Monday morning and drive back if you wanted to do that too.
Yeah. They usually have some good,
I was going to, they have a list of like the topics or like
Yeah.
agenda.
they will closer to
It's,
time,
But yeah, it's be online, but they have that.
okay. Just let me know and we'll get you registered if that is something you want to attend.
Any additional items? Hearing none, we'll adjourn the meeting.